I know it might be hard for you to believe, me being a hardcore comic book and horror fan, but sports really doesn't do a lot for me. I understand the way people get into sports because I myself get excited for a new movie or a new trailer, or sometimes even a new comic or two. But still, it's an interest I've never really gotten into. Him is a sports film that dares to venture into the horror genre. I can't think of too many films that have tried to do that and do it successfully. So color me intrigued to see if Him is able to bridge that gap between sports and horror. Let's play ball. Him is in theaters now from Universal Pictures. It's directed by Justin Tipping and written by Zack, Akers, Skip Bronkie, and Justin Tipping. Tariq Winters plays Cameron Cade, who has been groomed since a young age by his football-obsessed father to be the next greatest of all time, or GOAT, in football. Cameron's childhood hero is Isaiah White, played by Marlon Wayans, and Cameron has patterned his entire life after Wayans to become the next great quarterback for a fictional football team called the Saviors. Things look good for Cameron as he gears up for the NFL draft, but a seemingly out-of-the-blue attack with a crowbar leaves Cameron in the hospital with a severe concussion and staples in his head, leading the press, the coaches, the fans, and Cameron himself to question whether or not his career in football is over before it started. But good news, Cameron's agent, Tom, played by Tim Heidecker, has convinced Isaiah White himself to invite Cameron to a week-long training camp to see if he's cut out to be the next GOAT. But once inside of Isaiah's facility, Cameron realizes in order to be the best, there must come a lot of hard work and sacrifices. Literal sacrifices. Literally. Now, I want to begin this review by saying that I actually liked a lot of what Him had to offer. I think the director, Justin Tipping, has a creative eye for visually and audibly stimulating scenes. The fast pace of Cameron's rise to football stardom is communicated well with a whole lot of fast edits, quick cuts, and almost strobe light transitions from one scene to the next for pretty much the first half hour. I can understand why this sort of flashy style was used in this way, as the scenes of a football hopeful training to be the best and get drafted has been a sequence that has been done quite a lot of times before in film. Set it to aggressive music, show some blood and x-rays here and there, looking at the damage Cameron is accumulating to his body, and maybe even hinting that Cameron doesn't have all of his wits together in order to make it, is a great way of whizzing past familiar scenes and getting to the original stuff. It reminds me of the style Oliver Stone adopted in both JFK and Natural Born Killers, and being a fan of the look of those films, I appreciated it here, for a while. The problem is that a lot of these quick edits continue throughout the film. This does make for an otherworldly atmosphere, as if Cameron has leapt through the looking glass and Isaiah's football camp is a twisted, sporty version of Neverland. Everything is cut together in kind of a slapdash staccato, and that turns out to be a very difficult way of telling a story. As a stylistic choice, I kind of like the strobe effect editing. It made me uncomfortable, and that's a crucial part to an effective horror film. But the story has to make sense. Him feels like the script had a lot of hands on it and fiddling with plot points while the movie was in production. There's an awful lot of dangling threads hinted at that are never addressed. We're told the last time Cameron talked with his father, he said that he didn't want to play football anymore. This is a key bit of information about Cameron and his motivation, but it's simply told to us almost as an afterthought way too late in the film. Cameron's brother seems to be somewhat of a bad influence, and there is definitely a lot of jealousy there. Cameron's girlfriend is protective of him, especially when it comes to temptations involving women. Yet all of these points never come up after being introduced at the beginning. I'm not saying that this would have made the story better. It's actually a lot of cliched stuff, but why waste space and time on these things in the beginning if they aren't going to matter for the rest of the movie? Moving on to the acting, this is Marlon Wayans' film through and through. He gnaws on every scene he's in. The film does a great job of highlighting the complexity of his character. Isaiah wants to train Cameron. He says he believes and cares about him. Yet all the while, there's a bitterness underneath, knowing that this new guy is there basically to replace him. Wayans does a great job of making it seem like he's being brutal to Cameron because he wants the best out of him, but in reality, he wants to break him, and that makes for a very interesting character. I wish I could say the same about Tariq Winters. In one sense, he feels like a real small-town athlete being thrust into a world where he doesn't belong or understand. Anyone watching athletes on the news knows they all have this monotone, emotionless way of talking when interviewed, as if being in front of the camera is not comfortable for them, and they would just rather be on the field playing football. I get that, but while Withers has that deer-in-the-headlights look down pat and might have a nice smile, I don't know if he was up for the heavy drama required for the role. By the end, he's seeing some shit not many people experience, and instead of having some kind of reaction of awe, fear, rage, or even confusion, he just kind of has that blank look on his face the whole time. I do have to go back to that imagery. I loved a lot of what Justin Tipping did, though. From pig masks to killer mascots to X-ray visions of helmets colliding to the various atmospheric tones of Isaiah's rooms. There are symbols and shapes all over the place in him, making one want to rewatch just to pick out the little ominous details in the background. Tipping also does a great job of using music and strange sounds to add that extraterrestrial feel of Isaiah's place. This is a film with a lot of attention to aesthetics to convey a tone of unease and discomfort. The way he captures the horror of the mascots, and specifically the horrifying fans of football, are really well accomplished. There are a lot of metaphors that work, like the metal staples in Cameron's head, resembling a football, showing that football is what's on his mind constantly. But then there are some heavy-handed scenes that I could have done without, such as a Last Supper image that came out of nowhere. Then we get to the ending, where all of the plot points are supposed to come together, and again, this feels like a movie that ended one way and was then tinkered with by the producers in order to win over the crowd by the end. Yes, this film has worked overtime to make you want to think that this is a Jordan Peele film, but Him is not. That said, Him's ending reminds me of the ending of Jordan Peele's first film, Get Out. In Get Out, Daniel Kaluuya, as Chris, escapes the mansion and the crazy family only to come face to face with the cops. The original ending had Chris arrested by the cops and taken to jail. It feels true to the film, where everywhere is a conspiracy, and that conspiracy runs deep, and that it runs counter to being a black man in the world Get Out painted, a world manipulated by white men. It's that kind of dark, Twilight Zone style ending that resonates and actually makes you think about the subject matter. It's that pitch black ending that Jordan Peele says he loves. But instead, they reshot a crowd-pleaser ending with Chris's friend inexplicably driving up in a police car and coincidentally showing up at the exact right time to rescue him. It's what made Get Out an okay film for me, when up to that point, it felt like something monumental. Him has the same kind of ending. During a quiet moment in Cameron's rigorous training, Cameron tells Isaiah how important his family is to him. He lists, in order of importance, family, God, football. Isaiah disagrees and says his list is football, family, God. This is the key difference between Cameron and Isaiah, and basically the blueprint of the entire film. But that's not how it all works out. Without spoiling too much, Cameron is given a choice, and while he doesn't choose football first, he also puts his family in grave danger with his final actions. Again, the film goes for the crowd-pleasing ending, where the lead makes a morally good decision rather than the decision that the whole movie worked up to. The decision that is on the posters, the decision that would have made this a truly haunting film that says something about the sacrifice these players have to live with every day. The decision that reflects the celebrity secret society conspiracies that we all are fascinated with. Instead, we get a throwaway ending you'll forget by the time the credits stop rolling. Him fumbles the ball in the end, big time. And about that ending, I'm just going to address the white elephant in the room, and I know this type of thing gets me in trouble, but I think it needs to be said. Can we please put a moratorium on African American horror films ending with the lead killing a bunch of white people? It happened in the Candyman remake, it happened in Sinners, and it happens again here in Him. I get it, Whitey's bad. But this end not only is divisive in today's piping hot climate, but it also has become extremely cliche, especially when Cameron's conflict through the whole film was with Isaiah, not a gaggle of old white dudes. There, I had to say it. Bash me if you will, but I know that there has got to be a more creative and interesting way to end an African American centric film than have a bunch of white people getting cacked. Just saying. Just saying. Just saying. Him is a visual feast of a film. It's nice and gory. It's aggressive. And I can see some high school locker rooms firing up their teams by watching key scenes. It gets the world of football right. Marlon Wayans is awesome. Tariq Withers works in most, but not all of the film. Jim Jeffries is surprisingly good in a dramatic role. And Julia Fox is otherworldly as Isaiah's seductress wife. It gets the brutality of it all, and some of those hits had me rocking back in my chair. I just wish Him had a story with some depth and an ending that it deserved. How about you guys? Did you guys see Him this weekend? Are you gonna go see it? And how many horror fans out there are also fans of football? Let me know down in the comments. Please do me a favor and punch that like button down below. Share this video with all of your social media addicted pals. Click subscribe to this channel and ring that bell for notifications. You're doomed to live the life you're meant to be, stuck inside your reality. You're doomed. Oh, you're doomed. You're